Hello everyone, it's Diane. I'm starting on some new journals today. I'm always excited to get started on something new, and these are owl journals. I was planning on making two, but as I'm making the tags, I realized that I'm making three of all the tags, so maybe I'll just go ahead and make three. We'll see. We'll see how fast I can progress this week. Anyway, I wanted to just show you the tags. I've got most of the prep work done, but I thought I would just let you see what I'm doing. These are some Reader's Digest covers that I chose to use for the covers. I'm not sure how I'll decorate them yet. So I have three different styles of tags here. Having fun making tags today. Of course, I'm only seeing two. Pretty sure I made three. Yeah, I did. What I do with the other ones? Oh well, let's just get started on what we've got here. That's very strange. Oh, I know. I already made them and I put them away in the drawer. I finished these. So these are coffee dyed tags. These look like they were white tags to begin with, and then I coffee dyed them. And I stamped on the background. That's very light there. And that one, and this, well, this one I didn't stamp on the background. I stamped on this piece of paper. So these are all different. So this one, I sprayed it with an ink that I had made. And I used a piece of this tea bag paper that I had received in a Happy Mail. I'd wanted to play with that, so I just tore a little piece off and stamped this owl on it and inked around it. I think I sprayed that too. Yeah, I did. And then I sprayed some green ink on my craft mat and then just kind of dipped this in the green ink. And there's some corrugated cardboard there. And there's bits of this fibrous paper on it, a couple there, just to add a little more green color. And my hands are all inky. I washed them before I did the video, but I have to wash dishes later, so that should help. This one I stamped with my StazOn brown ink with just a damask design. And I used a couple more pieces of this, but I flipped it over and used that side. And I used this textured paper to stamp this owl on and tore it and inked around the edges. So this one's pretty simple. This one I have to glue down the edges because I just kind of glued it in the center. But this is some real thin brown paper. I can find it here. I'm not sure where I got it from. Oh, there's my phone. But this is what I used, and I just crumpled it up and inked it with a couple different colors. I stamped this thistle design on it, and this is another of these, well, it's this, one of the textured papers, fibrous papers, and then there's an owl stamp. So all I have to do is just make sure the edges are glued down or stitch around it or something. So that's the first set of tags that I did. And the next set I did were these big ones, and I have to glue them together. So each one is a little different, but I wanted to show you the differences in the backgrounds. I used this stencil and sprayed it with, I think it's Dylusion's ground coffee or something like that color, so it's quite dark. And I like the way that looks on the background, but there was so much spray ink on the stencil. So on the next one, I just laid this on top of the stencil, and I really like the way that looks. And since it's just a background, I wasn't trying to make that design really, I just wanted a nice background. I think that turned out nicely. And so for the third one, again, I actually laid the stencil on upside down on top of this tag, and there wasn't much ink left on it, so it just gave this very scattered effect. This one has a little bit better up here. So then I took a dotted stencil. This is a Tim Holtz. I think they're both Tim Holtz, and sprayed it through the dotted stencil, and I like the way that looks. So all three of them look different. And I tore some fabric and put it through there. Now to complete these tags, I'm going to use a coffee dyed, let me turn this a little, a coffee dyed doily. I took one of my little mini envelopes. These are, I still have some of these in my shop. And I got some of these tags when my daughter and I went to Michael's. She found these. There's quite a few in the package. I don't remember how many, but they were in the jewelry section because they were to put earrings through for display, for selling earrings. So there's these little holes on the back. It's burlap and a brown cardboard with a metal ring. So they were on clearance for $1.50. So I got them, and I stitched a piece of lined paper to the back to kind of cover those holes. And these fit very nicely in my brown envelopes. So this is going to be on top of the doily, and then I have one of these little owls that I printed. I got it from Etsy, and I don't know which shop it was, but so that will be this tag. I think I'll use a glue stick for my doily. I have to find my glue stick. The glue will get through all the holes, so I lay it down on this book page. Well, I didn't need to do the whole thing because it's going to hang off. I'll cut that when I know the glue is dry. I don't want to gum up my scissors. I might as well do them all at the same time. I'll fold it, and that way I'll know where to put the glue, where I'll actually trim it first. This one's a smaller one. Okay, so now they all have the doilies on them. I think I can trim this off now. So now all I have to do is glue that on. Now I could glue this on as a little tuck, but I don't want the doily to get roughed up too much, so it's just going to be glued down. This has a flap on it, but I'm going to glue it with the flap. I'm going to glue the flap down so you won't be able to close it, because the tag will be sticking up out of it anyway. But when the flap is closed, these envelopes measure 2 inches by 2 inches. And they're so cute and so fun to play with. I had to trim just a little bit off of the bottom of these owls. They're supposed to be the size to fit on dominoes, I think, for altering dominoes. And what I tied in there is strings of jute that pulled off when I was cutting burlap. Strings of burlap, I should say. And I saved the strings for this purpose. So there's that one, and you can write on the back. I can do the other ones off camera. You don't need to watch me doing the same thing over and over. Got all my pieces for this one. I've got 3 different owls. They're so cute. And then this one, I took a coffee dyed tag again and a scrap of coffee dyed paper. It was printed pattern paper, and this was just a cut-off piece. I save these and I do a lot of things with them. So I turned it backwards and I stamped with this crackle background stamp. It looks like tree bark. And then I stamped with this set from Stampin' Up. I stamped this tree in green and this little stamp that came with that set and the leaf. And, well, actually, I had traced my tag around the pattern paper and then cut inside the line, so it would be just a little smaller. So you can see the tag around. It's like framing it. And then you can write on this side. So then I also stamped this Tim Holtz leaf in green and stitched it to some craft cardstock, and I'm just going to use these pop dot thingies and attach it. I don't use these very often. I think these are Stampin' Up ones. I used them more when I was doing cards. And these are thin, so it won't pop.